Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to this Orb discussion series where me and Jarky Bacon, go ahead and say something, Jarky Bacon.
Hello, it's me. I'm Jarky Bacon. That's how I do this thing. Hello.
Indeed, we will be going through Orb. Last time we covered the first. I don't really have the full context of the show, but my understanding would be it's like the first arc, I guess, which were episodes 1 to 3. And now we've covered episodes 4 to 9, which I don't know if this is like a complete arc or if there'll be more. I don't know, but that is what we have covered. Now, Bacon, I have written a very short recap. Do you want me to read this out right now for the audience, or what do you think?
Go for it. Yeah.
All right.
Go for it.
We meet Oczy and Gras. I don't know any about these pronunciations. It is what it is. And after running into a heretic, they end up finding Rafal's and Hubert's notes. They then go to deliver them to a strange monk called Badeni. But then during their journey, Gras dies, and then Badeni is interested in heliocentrism and puts out a public problem for people to solve, which is then solved by Jolenta, a girl who is the assistant of someone called Kolbe, who ends up taking her work and publishing it as his own. And then Oczy, Badeni, and Jolenta go to speak to Count Piast, or something like that, who's devoted to perfecting the geocentric model. And then after observing, I think it was Venus, I didn't actually write it down, but in its final stage or something, he gives them access to all of his records, and kind of crazy. But yep, Bacon, you got to let me know now. So is this the completion of an arc, or is this like we're still going after this? Like what made you choose this episode? Okay, it was like just a sufficient amount of stuff.
I chose it because it's the midpoint, roughly.
Okay, yep, cool.
And it had this nice ending with Count Piast, so
yes, indeed.
You know, it's kind of sweet ending.
Yep.
I'm not. Yeah, I have to find out exactly where we're gonna watch the next time, but
hey, we'll find out. Bacon, I like this a lot. This was great. I was a little scared last time because, you know, firstly, the great Heath left a comment and said that only those first 3 episodes are good. So I was like, oh my god, what if it's right? What if the rest of the show is bad? But no, we meet like a bunch of characters. There's like some of these, I like them a lot, actually. I think I like almost all these characters quite a lot. There's one character I like the most. There's definitely one I like the most, but there's also another one I like quite a lot. Could you potentially guess? Make a guess, mate. Which character do you think is my absolute favorite, like by far?
Okay, I feel like anybody else would be like, Badeni is your favorite, but I think Jolenta is probably your favorite.
Absolutely, you're correct. Jolenta is definitely my favorite, and Badeni is definitely my second favorite. He's a really great too, but my god. But what about you, Bacon? Who do you like in this set of episodes?
Yeah, I think there is something that's tough, like with this part of Orb, where basically it's like we've got you in the first 3 episodes, and let's start all over again. You know, there is, and it's tough when you've like got invested in like a group of characters, and then they just get got. And so I can understand that, like when I saw Heath come out, I can understand it because you're like, oh, there's so much momentum here, and then like we have to start again with different characters, and then we find out that they feel pretty different, and it doesn't quite. It doesn't quite flow as naturally. I do think there is probably the best way to mitigate this, which is really interesting, which is like, while the protagonists of these 2 arcs kinda, well, I don't know, it's not so much really, but they do have characters that overlap, but they just get older. So for example, probably most notable is Norak, who was in the beginning of this arc, and he was in the other one, right? So it's kind of like there is like linkage in different characters. So it's not like, oh, we've gotten rid of all the characters that are in the first one and the second one. So it does have ways to overcome it. So
it was surprising me when he showed up.
Problem.
I was like, whoa, I guess there is overlap. I wasn't really expecting it, but yeah.
Do you think he'll turn up again?
Well, I mean, we have something we can talk about, which is that if I'm understanding correctly, it was the same voice actor that voiced Jolenta's dad. So I would assume that's her dad, but I could just be wrong, and maybe I misheard it or something. So I know he'll probably show up again, unless I'm wrong about that.
Yeah.
But...
yeah, it's funny because like I can imagine in a manga it not being as obvious.
Yeah, I know.
But like
they tried.
His voice is so iconic. Their voice is iconic. Like, is such a good voice actor.
Yeah, exactly.
That, it's Yeah,
It's like
so
an impossible
he'll be
thing. It's
back.
like, what do you do? Like, I mean, they obscured his face. He sounded like you've never heard him talk, kind of like that, like very subdued and everything. It was different, but I think he'll be back. Okay, um, we'll see, unless it's not him.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, overall, I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think as always, the conversations are really interesting, and I think it does a good job of tension. I would say you could also say, "Orb, they talk a bit too much."
Mm.
And I think I probably like the dub a bit more because there's points where I feel like, oh, I can't be bothered to read this much.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you just want to. I almost think maybe it's better as a manga because then you could read it and then think on it a little bit as the try and digest. Like I think
Mm.
the best example is when Badeni is, uh, you know, like saying, "Well, this is how I know." When they're like he's walking around the stick and then he's explaining it to
Sure.
Oxy. You're just like, uh, you know,
You know what
um,
I thought? I thought, I get the gist of it. I like it. It's a cool
yeah,
scene.
fair enough.
I get the point.
But I think
Um,
I'm like, oh yeah, how does it actually regress?
mhm.
I want to understand, like the science, but yeah,
True. I think for me, the probably the most difficult bits to understand. Oh, there was I think there was only one bit where I was like, man, I had to go back and like rewatch this a lot. But in retrospect, it's like really straightforward. But I don't know why it didn't feel that way the first time through. Which is when, um, Oxy and Gras when they're with the heretic, and the heretic is like talking about. He's just talking like all the stuff he was saying. I was like, oh, like what's he
yeah,
saying? And I think in the end, it was basically saying something like, um, people they try to find hope in like bad situations, and the fact that they come up with something to represent hope, which is something like heaven, is it's like counter to progress because it's not true hope or something, and the true hope is like trying to actually find something that exists or something like that. I think that's the vibe I was getting there. But it was a bit
mm,
complex to figure out. But yeah, anyway, um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No, no, do you have any other notes? Because I can kind of talk in. I mean, I'm happy to go into each conversation or general kind of themes that were brought up in this thing, but do you want to talk about like the general plot so far that you thought was interesting or?
We can. The stuff I have notes on are more. Well, I don't really have too many notes to be fair. They're mostly about like each character I have like a small note on, and then just like random notes at the end. So mine's more
Yeah.
character focused, I guess. Um,
Should we go through those then? Why not?
yeah, sure. So the first character we meet is Oxy, who you could probably argue
Mm,
is like the protagonist of this section. Like we start with him, we kind of follow the world like through his eyes a little bit. Um,
yeah.
he's interesting. Now the thing is with this show is that I'm actually not sure if I understand. Like, I don't know if I have a good understanding of the characters. Oxy, I feel like I might, but I also feel like that he could have just said something at some point that like completely contradicted my reading, and I just forgot. Um, but he like starts off, um, basically he sees that he. I think we even open like this set of episodes with like a flashback or something, and he's talking about how, or someone is talking to him, telling him about how the Earth is like the bottom of the universe, and everything like falls there, and that's why the world is corrupt and full of sin, and heaven is like the one escape. And this is like a thing that follows him throughout his life, and he's basically afraid that he won't go to heaven, and there is no escape for him, and he will forever be stuck on this like this corrupt kind of world, and that like leads to why he doesn't want to look up to the sky, because it's like he's scared that they're gonna like they're gonna judge him or reject him or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is like a good reading of what do you think of Oxy? Is this like your reading of him, or was that just the beginning and he changed and I just missed it, or what's happening
Yeah,
there?
so he's changed a little bit in the sense that well, how he starts is that he doesn't want to look up at the sky.
Mm,
Oh man, I'm forgetting a little, but like he doesn't like looking at the sky because it makes him because Earth is the bottom and it's imperfect, and it kind of feels like everything is looking down at him. That's like whether the
mm,
eyeballs, and he just can't like bear their gaze. Um, because and it is an interesting idea. I think fundamentally is like, well, the Earth doesn't move and everything seems to fall to it. Like I like how it's like a theology that comes from like your natural
yeah.
observations around you. So then you so then you kind of think, oh well, yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense. And you're just like, okay, so then we must be like, yeah, we're like the fallen, like we're literally called fallen in the Bible, like we're the
Mm,
fallen, corrupt part of world. Yeah, but then like his life is like he thinks fundamentally, um, that like heaven is the only salvation. All joy in life is fleeting. There's no point. He's kind of a bit nihilistic, and heaven is his only way out. But once he discovers that, oh, the heavenly bodies above aren't perfect either, and that Earth isn't separate from space in a way, or the heavens, then he's like, oh, maybe there is beauty on Earth to be found. There is joy. There's enjoyment. And so he kind of so that's what heliocentrism has given him.
Yeah, that is
and that's
true.
kind of what happens.
I do remember that.
Later on, that's why he says, and it's interesting because as I said before, like in previously, it's each character's like, it's obvious that, you know, how their emotional proclivities then lead to how if they want something to exist or not. And that's kind of partly what the heretic at the start also says. It's like people believe in heaven because they want this hope in this world. Like they even though heaven, there's no way to know if heaven exists or not. Like it probably doesn't exist, you know, or whatever.
Yep.
And that's why I love Earth, because it's the only place that I do exist and stuff like that. I know that there's stuff I'm missing out there, but it's this idea where basically it's like Oxy at the end, he says, oh, I kind of want to see Venus. No, he says, I'm going to look because I want to see Venus in its full moon, or full phase, sorry.
Yeah.
Because that then confirms to him that heliocentrism is true, and that he can then, you know, change his outlook on life, you know? So,
Yeah.
So there we go. But that's how I'd probably describe Oxy. I feel like I was watching yesterday. I feel like I had a good grasp, but I forget the specific.
No, I think I like that. Like that makes sense. I remember the scene where he was talking to Badeni, and I think it was after when he first learned about heliocentrism, and it's like, oh, Earth is like part of the heavens or whatever, and it's like, whoa, true. Like if this is true, then there is no separation, which I think is interesting. A change in perspective. All right. Oxy. I truly don't have much about, like, other than just like what his central thing is. Like I think Oxy, he doesn't really appeal to me that much. I think pretty much everyone else appeals more than he does. Like he is he's timid. He is an assassin though, which is like kind of interesting. Like I wouldn't have, if you had just shown me him outside of that, I would never have predicted that he would have got into like that kind of profession, I guess.
Character archetype. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a little, what do you say, a complexity to him. Oh my goodness. But,
yeah, I think also, but like him being an assassin then gives like, basically he says, I've killed loads of people in life, but I've never seen when people have died them be satisfied there on their face. And he kind of says, well, if they're dying, they're just looking to heaven. You know, they're like, so they must have gone to hell or something. You know, it's like that lack of satisfaction bugs him, because he's like, well, maybe then heaven isn't that great then if they're seeing it. You know, like
true.
He would have expected to see some discrepancy there, whether it's heaven or hell. And then the two people that he knows that died satisfied on Earth with Earth and its imperfections. They are happy. They actually both die willingly. So yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Like it was. Are you referring to the heretic guy and then the actual Gras guy, like that? Those two deaths where they're both satisfied. Yeah, that is true. Good point. I didn't even think, because that like perfectly ties in with the assassination stuff. Wow, Bacon. It's a clever story. Who knew? My God.
Yeah. Yeah, it's but yeah, no, I would say I'm kind of similar, where I'm not really like how to say it, like I'm not like super enthralled by his character, and I can totally get that he's a bit frustrating, but not frustrating, but not like super like when someone's like, as soon as Badeni shows up, you're like, this guy's got a character, he's got swag, he's fun. You know, and he's like, I want to burn this note. I'm here just to make myself look like the greatest person of all time.
We're not paying that 10%. My God,
we ain't paying that 10%. You know, that it's funny. But
Ox is just the guy who can't read him right. Poor guy. My goodness, but he has great eyesight. But okay, Oxy. I don't know what else we have to say about him. He's a guy. The other guy he's with at the beginning is Gras. So this is a guy who, I guess his whole thing at the beginning is that, you know, he's observing the trajectory of Mars, and he hopes it's going to be like a perfect circle, but it doesn't end up being a perfect circle. And I guess for him, it's like his family, all of his family died, but he survived. And the idea would be that he's able to keep on living in this world because he thinks it is beautiful because of things like, for instance, when he's observing the trajectory of Mars, it seems to be forming a perfect circle. And in that he sees beauty and is like, man, maybe the Earth isn't so bad. Like, both the Earth gave me my family, the Earth is perfect. And even though the Earth like took my family, it's still okay. Would that be your reading, at least initially, of like what was going on with him?
Yeah. Oh, what was it? Like, yeah, so he lost his family, but then he found something like, I guess he found solace in the fact that heaven was perfect, and that's where his family went.
Mm.
He did explain that at
Oh,
some point. I
okay.
actually couldn't remember what he said.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what he said, actually, because he
Neither can
does
I.
explain it. But yeah. I should have been taking notes. I should be understands this, but yeah, like he does explain it. But it's like but he's very much like, you got to take joy and pleasure. Like, think about, don't let, like, basically there's a confrontation where Oxy won't look at the skies
Mm.
because and then dude, like, there's enjoyment that Gras tries to find, and he's not afraid of letting enjoyment come from Earth, and he said, like, why would you stop looking at the sky if you quite liked it?
Mm.
So yeah.
True. I think my main thing about Gras is that firstly he's only here very briefly. He's here for like maybe 2 episodes or something out of this like bunch. And he's a character that at the time I was like, man, I don't really think much about him. Like he's just here. But then after he's gone, I never forgot about him. Like I was constantly thinking about him. And whenever like Badeni was like saying something cool or like interesting or making an observation or something, or like they're making progress on this heliocentric model, I always thought like, man, I wish he was here to like see this. Like I feel like he'd just love it. Which to me is like a mark of like a character that's like left an impression on me, where he had like a very, like he is a very, I feel like both him and Oxy are kind of interesting in that they're not exactly what I was expecting. First we get like the setup last arc at the end where they're like coming up the hill and it looks like one at like Oxy is like at like sword point or whatever, but you get the reveal this time, but it's not really. It's just out of like, I don't even know how to explain it, but he wasn't really threatening him. He just had it up, and when Oxy's like, you don't need to do that, he just put it down or whatever. But anyway, that's all beside the point, which is that Oxy kind of seems like maybe the cowardly kind of guy is what I was expecting, where it's like maybe he will like betray like our kind of heliocentric people because he's like too afraid of like change and stuff, and like he's afraid to look up and all that. Like that's what I was expecting his character to be, but is not. Like Oxy is very like I don't know if loyal is the right word because he hasn't really been tested on that, but it's like he's very like friendly and kind and like, I don't know, also a bit like shy and stuff, which is not what I was expecting. Then you've got Gras at the same time, who I thought it'd be, the dynamic would be where it's like Oxy is the guy who is like has these beliefs that he like keeps hidden at the same time, where like he's afraid of the corrupt world or whatever and is scared that heaven doesn't exist. Like these are all things that he's afraid to say out loud, and I thought it'd go down the line of like he'd say them out loud like he did in like episode 1 or 2, and Gras would be the guy who would be like the opposition of that, and he'd like either report him or something, or like it'd be the equivalent of Raphael's dad or whatever, where it's like a guy who is like kind of really scared of this like this change and like doesn't really want that. And in the end, Gras ends up just being like a kind of like a very good friend to like Oxy, and then he's just like a guy who feels like he has it more figured out than him, even though he doesn't really. But I don't know, Gras just seems nicer than I was expecting. That's probably the best way to put it. And he
Yeah,
doesn't like
maybe
betray
because, like,
Oxy at
the
any
goatee
point,
and the
or
dark hair, and he's got like that. He's got the slanted eyes or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
it is interesting that how you do kind of expect. Also, like, because it's like, at least early on, it kind of talks about these guys that like, these guys might be like, oh, he's a bit crazy or
Yeah.
whatever, all this. So like, then you're like, should I be worried or
Yep.
yeah.
All right. Well, Bacon, those are our first 2 characters. Do you have anything you want to talk about now?
Yeah, well, we kind of covered this 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 idea of them being at the bottom of the universe. I just always thought it was a very interesting perspective.
Mm.
I don't know how accurate to the time it is, but I just like how like naturally it seems to flow from
Mm.
from like just general
Like intuition?
potential theology and stuff,
Oh, okay, I understand. It is, yeah,
like it makes sense from your observation.
Yeah, last time you actually, I think, changed, or like, what some things you said in the last discussion definitely filtered through to like how I watched this show. Um, because I think something you said last time was about how, oh my god, what was that? Oh, I just got a notification. Anyway, oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. You were saying last time that the way that they arrive at like their quote unquote truth, like all the the existing like establishment and stuff, how they arrive at truth, like the geocentric truth and all that, is to them like it makes sense because of the assumptions they've built their life around, because of the society that exists at the time. Like the fact that the Catholic Church has such power and is such entrenched in like the upbringings of people means that like the things you are going to discover about the nature of our world are going to be tied to the assumptions you make that are based on the world you grew up in. Um,
Hmm.
and I feel like there would have been a potential of me watching this show and getting to this point without having discussed it with you, where I would be much more kind of I would feel much more hate toward the individuals who are like pushing the geocentric model, for instance, where it's like, man, these idiots, like, how can they think this? Like, their fundamental assumptions are just like so obviously wrong or whatever. But I think there is like definitely an added charity where it's like, man, like it really is tough to kind of overcome these assumptions that you're like raised with. Like just the simple thing of like assuming that like the earth is like, or not the earth, like God is perfect. Like even just an assumption like that means that like, oh, obviously, therefore the world has to be perfect. Like, not the world, but like the universe has to be designed in a perfect way. When it's
Yeah.
like that doesn't have to be the case, but that assumption means that like obviously Earth has to be at the center, and it's like not even a thing you question. I don't know, I find it interesting, and I probably wouldn't have if we didn't have that discussion. So I kind of like it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm glad first and foremost because like I think is easy, and I kind of mentioned this in my amazing short 5 minute video,
Yeah.
but it's very easy, I think, for us to initially start with, particularly with all this, and I don't know where the author's coming from, but I'm just putting my background on top of this, but it's easy to be like, oh, geocentrism versus heliocentrism. It's about science overcoming religion. I remember that story about Galileo,
Mm-hmm.
and is and it's basically like not that at all. Um, it's
Mm-hmm.
not really interested in talking about whether or not God exists or like doing some like it's not trying to do a petty modern day debate. It's trying to do a genuine exploration of different reasons why people do stuff, and it's more about like, as you can kind of see on, is about like hope and truth, and what that kind of leads to, and yeah, I mean like you see these guys and they chat about how you know, like like Badeni is like the like it makes perfect sense if you think the world is designed by a god that then that would excite you to go figure out that design. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Badeni's like, God's given us a riddle, we've got to figure it out. Like, why does the regression of this lead to this or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you're an inquisitive mind, like it's not that like, I think for me as well, it's like growing up, it's like people be like, oh, well, you really like science, and then how do you also believe in God? Now that's a bit of like just playground people like not kids
Mm-hmm.
being kids and then Rich Dawkins being big at the time, and there being this bit like zeitgeist. And it's like, yeah, like just because I'm Christian doesn't mean I don't believe in evolution or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you know, people assume your beliefs or whatever based on how you do stuff. Anyway, it's just like you know, assume your beliefs based on like a cartoon version of what you actually believe, and then you're like, oh no, this is actually quite a bit more reasonable. And people come to these decisions by different reasons all the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
just like it because there's like a good variety. It's not like it that there's a tapestry of faith and belief and philosophy, and that is what makes it quite interesting for everybody. But ultimately, like the thing that ties lots of these characters together is the desire to know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Apart from one explicitly, which is basically so far being the villain of the story,
Mm-hmm.
which is Noark, who's
Yeah.
like, and I mean loads of other characters as well, but basically you're villain in the story if you're like, just stay where you are, like don't try and progress or move forward. I mean that's kind of like Yoletta's, thing there with
Mm-hmm.
her mentor, which even that situation we'll maybe get onto this, but like the guy who stole her work and submitted it under his name,
Mm-hmm.
like he's not even evil. Like he's not
Yeah.
even wrong because he was actually genuinely looking out for her.
Mm,
You know, like he was taking credit for her. He was like, "Look, I can get you into the observatory one way if like okay, of course he benefits of it, and it comes from a completely sexist and prejudiced lens, and
mm,
he's still really selfishly motivated, but it's more gray than you initially think. You're like, this guy's stealing her work. He's like, as soon as you see him, you're like, this guy's sus. He's stealing her work on
mm.
purpose and all this stuff. But then you're like, you know what? Actually makes a lot of reasonable sense from her perspective. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, true. Um, Man, I feel like I had some stuff. The okay. I feel like I had a perfectly connecting point, but I don't remember it. But there was one that was tangentially related, okay, to something we said pretty early on about all this, um, about arriving at the truth and the assumptions about like the world and all that. Um,
yeah,
because there was an interesting scene or an interesting bit of dialogue. I think it was in the Jolenta when she was first going to when we first met her, basically, and she was like spying on the meeting. And they said the Arabian heretics have revised ancient Greek astronomy. And it just made me realize how. Firstly, I don't know if I'm understanding correctly. I would assume when they say that Arabian heretics, they probably mean like people who are living in like another country, for instance, who are like Arabian and they're not necessarily part of the church or anything. And that just made me think about how, like, man, like it would be impossible for a single entity to kind of maintain the thing they believe to be true when there are going to be like competing entire like parts of the world they're going to be trying to like arrive at
I
different truths.
I'd almost
And
be when they say Arabian heretics, I almost assume
yeah.
that's the Islamic golden age
Oh,
that they might be
okay.
referring
Oh,
to.
that could be. That makes sense. I didn't even think
So,
about
because
that.
from like
Yeah, yeah.
the 7th century to the 10th century, I think there's a lot of in the Muslim world a ton of extraordinary mathematics that was created.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
like we use the Arabic numeral system for a reason,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And things like sine, cos, and tan. I'm pretty sure sine literally comes from the word boob or something like that, which is
Wow.
from Arabia. It's like a mistranslation
It's
or
not the word
something.
sin.
I no, I always was
Damn.
like, why is there sin on my calculator when I was growing up?
Uh-huh.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, so I that's interesting because I didn't pick up on that line of dialogue, but that maybe yeah, because yeah, there's a lot of really interesting mathematics, and I wonder what caused the downfall of that because it would have been pre-Ottoman times. Why was there such a like a um, I think it's very noticeable, maybe also in retrospect, because that was like the dark ages of Europe,
Mm-hmm.
from 400 AD to 1000 AD, because like that was after the fall of Rome and stuff. They call
Mm-hmm.
them the Dark Ages. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Mm-hmm. I could not tell you a single thing about history. So I'll believe everything you say, Bacon,
Yeah.
okay? Except I know that the Renaissance was like in the 1600s, right? Or something like that. I don't know. Um, and I know that Galileo shows up soon, like relatively soon, but I don't know exactly when. But
Yeah.
yeah,
There'll be no one historical in this manga though, by the way.
that's
Um,
okay. What do you mean? God is in this manga. They talk about him all the time.
oh, true.
Yeah. All
True,
right.
but he's not a character. He's just mentioned.
That is true. Well, we don't know yet. He might show up, but he hasn't yet. My God. I've read a manga where God shows up. It's kind of crazy. But anyway. Um,
Crazy.
okay. Now, what on earth do we talk about next, Bacon? We can, I mean, if we want to go
We
back to
can talk.
characters or you want to talk about
Yeah, let's go back to characters. Yeah.
all right, we got Badeni. What a guy. Oh my God. This is just like the best guy ever.
Badeni.
Like he's so like, I mean, what appeals to me about him is almost certainly what it appeals to him to like everyone, which is that firstly, he's incredibly curious. You know, he wants to like find the truth. He is very dedicated to his studies. And he is just like he's smart and he has incredibly strong resolve, I guess. Like even after getting his eye like burned or whatever, he like keeps going. Like I don't know, all of this is like very like appealing. I don't know, it's very
He's a
fun to
little
watch a character.
unhinged.
Indeed, yes,
Yeah,
he's a little
he's very
unhinged.
quirky.
He's like
So
unethical. Like he's like whatever. We can like say she's a witch if like she betrays us, like stuff like that. Where I'm like, oh, this guy, we love him.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
he finds the book and it's like you can turn back now, you
Yes.
know,
Yep.
and he's just like, but I could catch a glimpse of truth, and so he
Yep.
does. It's quite funny.
What a guy. My
Um,
goodness. But what on earth can we say? I don't know what else to say about him. He's like, he's great, Bacon. That's all there is to say. I guess at the end it was very interesting that he has that moment of like he basically tells Jolenta like, wow, you know, like good job. He was like wants to repay her, and it's like, wow, I guess he does care about other people somewhat.
yeah,
Like she impressed him. It was interesting. And he has an eye patch, and it's cool. He like looks cool, and like constantly, I was like waiting for him to show up, and I was very surprised. Actually, we can talk about this a little bit, which is that the meta of the opening and the ending, kind of, and also my expectations, I guess, of the show, which is that I watched those first 3 episodes, and the great Raphael is there. And my expectation was that, okay, so we're going to be following Raphael, and then now we're going to follow like a new protagonist, and then this new protagonist is going to die, and we're going to follow like one after them, and it's going to be like the pursuit of truth and through these different like eyes or whatever. But now we have like basically met, if not completely, met all of the characters that are in the opening, which was very surprising to me. Like I was completely expecting Badeni to be like the next person, like, oh, this eye patch guy in the opening, he'll show up later. Like when these people die, we'll see him, and then we'll see that girl who like goes down the rope or whatever. But no, it is very different than what I was expecting. Like all of them come together, which I like. It's cool. But yeah, so many personalities here, which I like. Now,
interesting.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, so they're kind of all together, and then they're marching at the end together, which is cool. And then I was like, well, I was kind of thinking, well, this probably just spoils to Ari that Gras doesn't make it.
You know what? It didn't even cross my mind, but that is true. He's not really in any of those, is he? Does he even show up in the opening like a single time? I don't even remember.
I don't think he does, actually.
That's very funny.
He's only in it for 2 episodes, So.
You know who does show up in the opening? There's I don't even know what they are. The top of their head being bold, like those people who are with Noah. So maybe they'll be important. Yeah, the monks. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What do you think of the changed OP this time?
That's what I was going to ask you. Firstly, my understanding is that it would be the original opening scene where we're seeing. Actually, I don't even remember this. I might be mixing up the opening and the ending. But one of them, they changed the first bit where instead of Raphael, it's now Oczy, I think. But if I'm understanding correctly, I think the rest of it was all the same, right? Or were there changes throughout, like both of the ending and the opening? Or I don't
so, for example, what is it? There is, so at the start, opens with Oczy, and then the second part, then there's like a monk and the guy watching down, and it's an older Nowak with his like monk buddy, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Oh wait, is he older in this compared to the last one?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Nowak has a beard now.
Oh. Okay.
Well, he had like a goatee.
Cool. I have to say also, I really like this opening now. Like I every time I watch it, I sing like the beginning of it whenever it's happening, and oh my god, exactly, yeah, I say that, I sing that every time. That's it. I don't say any words after that, but that's all I sing. That for those first like 3 words. And then at the end where the music like kicks in and like Jolenta's like going down the rope and like Nowak is doing his sword. I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool.
And we saw that scene in The Thing.
We did, yeah. It was awesome, yeah. It wasn't as well animated as the opening, but I get it. The opening is where you put all your effort in, but yeah. Also, apparently, not animated by Mappa making. Can you believe it? Someone left a comment.
Sorry, Madhouse. I was wrong on that one.
True. But which is shocking to me also because these characters, my god, now that I've seen a lot more of it, these look like Vinland Saga characters to me. If you told me this was like Vinland Saga season like 6 or something, I'd be like, yep, this is completely like the character designs to me look like they would fit straight in with the anime at least of like season 2. So yeah, but true. Okay, there we go. Opening and ending. Badeni.
Badeni.
Indeed.
Sorry, I used to live with a guy called whose last name, he was Italian. His last name was Bindini.
Oh, what a name! Oh my god.
I wouldn't say his full name, but his last name was Bindini. So Bandani.
And
so
you would do your great Italian accent. Yes, wonderful. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Badeni.
Bandani. Badani.
It's a great name. Does this
It's funny because it's all Poland, but yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Where does this take place? Is it in Poland?
This is in 15th century Poland, yeah. Wow. So 1400s.
Interesting. On Earth.
So Galileo still has like 100 years before he turns
100 years? Oh my god. When's he going to invent the telescope? They have to look in with their eyes, it's just so annoying. They have to rely on people with good vision. See, that's the thing where I'm like, I feel like I could discover the telescope if I was alive back then. But then maybe it's like, maybe there's just like no glass. Like, and glass is maybe for like rich people or something. And like, it's hard to, I don't know. It feels like so obvious though, where it's like, man, isn't it weird how glass like makes things look different? I don't know. I can figure this out. But I could never in a million years, Bacon, figure out that the Earth is like not the center of the universe. I don't think I could ever arrive at that like the way they have. or at least so far. Like it feels so like there's so
Yeah.
many possibilities of the way the universe could be configured that it's like how on earth would I
Yeah.
even arrive at this?
And it was quite cool where it was like, oh, like early on, like Badeni's like, oh, there's this version of the Earth, this is random Greek guy.
Yeah.
He's an idiot because he thought, the big fireball in the middle of the universe,
Oh, what
and
an
the Earth
idiot.
always rotates to look away from it, so we can never see it or something like that.
Yep.
Um, anyway,
Genius.
it's kind of like, but then through that he uses that like as a way to then get to the point that like
Mm-hmm.
like be able to talk in code to Yoletta and tell her it without telling her. So
True. All right. So, what about the great Jolenta? Can we talk about her now, Bacon? And why she's so great?
absolutely go for it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, Jolenta is like, I don't know what to say beyond she's incredibly sympathetic. Or like, man, like out of all the characters who have struggles, I feel like hers is the one where I'm like, I get it, man. Like this is terrible. I feel very bad for you. More so than anyone else. Even though she doesn't have the worst life, like she's not like, I don't know, she's not being a threat much for like anything. It's not like she has to be quiet about stuff. Like she does kind of have to be, but she never like runs into those kind of issues. Like, what's Raphael, like he had the whole thing of like he has this dilemma of where to study, and like he could have, and he obviously ended up burning to death, and like Badeni has like had his eyes burned out, and Oczy, not so, I guess he doesn't really struggle that much, but he doesn't really have a big motivation or anything. But Jolenta, oh my goodness, she like wants to, she like has this innate curiosity, and she's like very clever and stuff, but like just because of the world she was born into, the time that she was born into, she just like can't express it, and it's like so sad. Like she's not, it's a story that like I'm sure I've seen many times before, like a woman who was being like oppressed like back in like an old society, but it's so sad because also the fact that she's so young as well, and she has so much potential, and if the world like valued her more, then like she could just be so like helpful to like everything, and it's just so sad. Yeah, but it's also like it's the combination, like why she stands out so much is both like the combination of being like sympathetic to like, oh man, it sucks that you're like in this situation, but also at the same time it's like I don't know, there's like, I don't know if cuteness is the right word or like relatability or something like that, where it's like the scene, for instance, when she's running, I think it's one of the first scenes we get of her, where she's running from the actual like hole place she was at and running to the well and trying to like slide down it or whatever. And in those moments, it's like, she's like, man, I'm gonna get caught today. Like I feel unlucky. Today is not the day. Someone's gonna see me. Like there's no way I can continue doing this. And it's like the self-doubt and the like fact that she knows like her life, the way that she is living is so risky, but she like does it anyway. And it's like this relatability or like kind of like the cuteness of like, man, like it's, I don't know how to explain it. I like it a lot. It's just really good. Especially that first scene. Oh my goodness. And like when she takes her gloves off and you see like she's got the like marks on her hands, like wrapped from the rope and everything. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's just so sympathetic and relatable, I guess, kind of. But yeah, Yolenta's fantastic. Every scene she is in, or not every scene she's in, but like all her big scenes, I guess, are like, I love them so much. Yeah. Anyway, Jolenta, Bacon. My God. Any thoughts on her?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already talked about her being quite inquisitive, which is cool. And then, but like, yeah, she then, her relationship to her, I guess, mentor, whatever he's called, Choso. Was that his name? Was it Choso? I can't remember what it was.
Colby.
Colby. Yes, that was it. My bad. But yeah.
True.
I guess. Yeah, no, I don't really have much to say. It's just like she's inquisitive. And I like the dynamic between her and Badeni, where she's like, my master's told me, and he's just like, okay, cool. So your master.
Yep.
And then he lets her, come out with it, and then
he sees straight through her. It was very funny.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me see what I have on her more. So I think I just point out like every scene that she's in that I like. Like one of them is the scene with her dad. We didn't really talk about the scene itself. We talked more about like the dad himself, but it is, to me, it's a very cute scene where it's like, well, I guess the revelation is probably the cute thing to me, where it's like the moment she wanted to become a scholar was when her dad gave her the gloves so that she could study in the winter. And that's like super cool because it's like, the dad like fostering her passion is what led to her like having that passion eventually, and it's like the support is like what made her go down that path. I find it very cute. So that was really cool. And even just the fact that the dad is like I'm assuming it's Noak. I mean, I guess there is a chance even you are deceiving me and it's like not him, but I feel like it almost certainly is him. But like if it is him, it's a super interesting like element to his character. Just like how he is like at home. Like, and it's interesting even if it's not him, he's like an interesting guy, whoever that father is, where it's like you on one hand he's like nurturing these things that he knows that he probably shouldn't because it's not going to help her much in life. But he's nurturing them all the same, like her curiosity and her like, her capability at like understanding things and everything and researching and her passions and all that, like nurturing all that. At the same time, he's kind of like saying that, like he says during that conversation, like there is really no, like you shouldn't be doing this. Like haven't you done enough? Like that you shouldn't, like it's not your place and blah blah blah. But he doesn't say it in a harsh way. He kind of just says it like matter of factly, like oh, like this isn't what a woman should be doing, like at this in this society or whatever. But then when she like pushes back more on it, he like kind of backs off and is like, sorry, I was being too like overprotective as a father or whatever. And it's like, oh, he like, I don't know, he's not the father that like Raphael had. Where, I mean, Raphael's dad is also not like a very typical dad, but like at least at first glance when you see him, you thought like at least when I saw him first time, the Raphael dad guy, where it's like you expect him to be the guy who is upholding the world and the like kind of current view of the world and is pushing back on Raphael wanting to make change or whatever. This guy, who I would assume is Noak, is nothing like that. Where it's like he doesn't really want his daughter to go down this path, but it's not because of some belief in the world or the structure of society or anything. It's like he just wants his daughter to kind of not struggle too much. I like it. He's an interesting guy, which fits in with the Noak, I guess, characterization so far. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know how much we can say without any more on him, but I'm sure we'll see more of him later.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Yep. So what a guy. And yeah, what else is there? I have a quote here. I don't remember what this was. It's enough to have a safe space. Oh, this is when the whole thing when he takes the name. Like it's enough to have a safe space for my research. My name isn't important. I've been childish. The interesting thing to hear is that it is it's the exact same feeling that Badeni has, where it's like they both want their name to be known. Like they both, like even though she could be like she enjoys research or whatever, but her name being out there is something that she's always wanted. But Badeni is like very like resolute on it. He wants that to happen, like it is his desire. Whereas here, like Jolenta is kind of fighting that innate desire she has. Like she's saying, oh, it's childish to think that way, the work itself is what truly matters. But in reality, she has the exact same dream as like Badeni, which is to be known, like for her.
Yeah, which is interesting because Badeni's dream is kind of showed initially. So like, oh, this is kind of immoral, and then the most innocent person,
indeed,
is also like that, which is fun.
Yep, I love it. And she cries, and she's like, why am I crying? Tears aren't necessary if I cry. It's like I've lost. I'm like, oh, very cute. That's all good stuff. And then she has the whole scene at the end where Oxy asks her about like writing, like what does it feel like? And she goes crazy, and she starts talking about how it's like a miracle, and she can talk to the leaders of the past, and it like lets her escape from the present. And I don't know, this was all great stuff, Bacon. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I always love this idea. Like, I think I remember something that like Native Americans thought that Europeans were performing magic because they could like write something down, and then without talking to each other, the other person would be able to read those inscriptions on a. It is like, and then and understand it's like you can convey meaning to someone without being there in person, which is incredible.
Yeah,
without a doubt, So
man, that's like another one of those assumptions kind of about the world where it's like, yes. I feel like if I were to go back in the day, I'd be like, it's obvious, we should learn to read and write. Like, isn't that like an obvious thing? Like, it's so easy. Like, you see things and you can like write things easily. But it's like, if you're in that time, it's like the world like isn't like that. Like like your parents raised you and they never like said anything about it. Well, it'd be so weird. Like, it feels like progress is inevitable, and it is, but at the same time, it's like it's not intuitive when it feels like it should be. Because in retrospect, it feels so intuitive. Like reading and writing, like obviously this is a thing, right? But like you wouldn't necessarily think that in the past. I don't know. I find that interesting. Yeah. But the only other character I have notes on, Bacon, is Count Piast. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to talk about.
No, not at the moment.
Yeah, Count Piast is. I mean, for him, what is his character? He is a guy who, I mean, first we get his backstory, which I actually really liked. I don't know why I liked it so much, but I really did. Like when we meet him initially, and you build him up as like this big geocentric guy, um, and I kind of had expectations of him of like, man, this is gonna be. Well, it's hard because it's like on one hand I have expectations of what he will believe and how strongly he will believe it, but at the same time, in the previous few scenes, we have seen that he is very open to like the truth, and he really wants Jolenta to like go to him, like when she writes her like report stuff. Her like what is that word? Treat. I kept writing treatsy, but I know it's not that.
Treatises, I think.
Treatises. Yeah, interesting. I've just never heard that before. All right, maybe I've heard the word before, but I've never known what it was. But it's like a report or something. I mean, some like it's like a PhD or something. I don't know. But yeah. So firstly, he's interesting. Where I was kind of probably more so expecting him to be a bit more, a bit less open to the idea of the geocentric model, which he eventually isn't. Like he's not very open to it. But the flashback just recarrying. I don't know how to say this. To be honest, I like the flashback bacon. Okay, that's all there is to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are some interesting flashbacks. Like you have Badeni's flashback, where it's like you meet him and then they leave it for the next episode for you to see
Yeah.
about him. I do think, it is one of those things that I guess I don't really know. Like, what's the best way to put it? I guess it feels like at least with you expect the worst of people in this story when you initially meet
Yeah.
them, and they overcome your expectations. Like you're
Yes.
just like, this person's going to be really not ignorant but dogmatic.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're going to be a problem because they can't. But yeah, but like all these people so far, like there's not been like one priest that's. I mean, basically, there's not been one like quite important character that hasn't.
It is true. I know what you're saying, because it is like, even when I'm thinking, like the one character that comes to mind all the characters, sorry, that come to mind that are like this are the people in the flashbacks. Like the guy who was burning the Bardeni's eye out, like the people like him. But they're not like central focuses. Like it truly is like all the named characters that we get, or like really any character we interact with in the present day really isn't like what I'm expecting. Like there is no, like we haven't seen like a Pope-like figure or something, where it's like, this is the root of like all like badness or something, where it's like, oh, this is the person who is enforcing like people's eyes to be burned out, or like stuff like someone like that who is so like clearly like so rigidly sticking to the past that they are willing to like cause so much suffering on people. We don't have a person like that. The closest is like Noah, but even him, he's not motivated by any like anything like, I don't know if dogmatic's the right way. He doesn't really have like a strong philosophical kind of what's the right word? I don't have a right word for it. I would say like evilness, but it's not really evilness, because like that's the whole philosophical thing anyway. But I don't know. There's not one big villain guy, or even many villain guys. Like all these people are kind of better than I was expecting. Yeah, true. Count Piast. What can I say about this guy? I like the old man in the flashback, which like kind of ties into what we were saying before about the assumptions that are like made in this world, where he like his final conclusion, like at the end of his death, he starts talking about how like he's afraid that his theory is wrong, because like what if it was based completely on incorrect assumptions, which is I guess entirely what we were trying to say before about like, man, like living in that time, like the assumptions you make are so important, but they're like so fundamental to like who you are as a person. I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really tough because you're like, I don't know, you're like, what's the way to say it? It's like it's tough because it's like, oh, I was just barking up the complete wrong tree, and that really sucks because there's not much I can do about it. But it is also like, feels so preventable if I just took more time. Like, like I feel so close, but I'm actually up the wrong mountain.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to go all the way back down the mountain to get back up to like where you were. Yeah.
Yeah, which like for a like yeah, because it is, and this is another thing where like from his perspective, I get it. From my perspective, even maybe a more so modern maybe perspective, like I obviously completely disagree with him, because it's like, man, like who cares that you dedicated your entire life to something wrong? Because like if it is wrong, because like people can learn from that. Like you have the world's like best like strongest counter argument against like, or like the strongest case for geocentrism, where people can like use your work to kind of find holes in, or like try and try and use it to kind of find holes in their argument or whatever. Like, it's a nice, like, it's a really good idea to have competing theories like this, even if they are wrong, because it like helps you strengthen other theories. Because it's not like someone hasn't explored this too much. Like, if there is a world when people haven't explored geocentrism, and because of that, you can't really discount certain things because they hadn't been explored yet properly. And like the fact that someone has explored geocentrism so much as like Count Piast, for instance, or like the guy in the flashback, like these are valuable things to the world, right? But the thing is that like these people don't necessarily think that the world is like the important bit, because heaven is like the important, like eternal life is what really matters. And it is more about like having a life on earth that is like dedicated to actually figuring out something, right? And not like the kind of more societal thing of like progress for the collective or whatever, which I feel like is a more modern thing of like science is good now because like everyone contributes to it, and even wrong things are like, you know, evidence of things that don't work, which are all useful. So I don't know.
I think it's also like with these guys, it is a matter of like almost ego. You know, this is also because they conducted their entire lives to this. And it's like so slow moving. And it's like, and you are right. Like, I think I was talking about like a Hank Green thing. It's like he was making a video recently, but it's like you shouldn't be doing science. Like your theories, you should be excited to prove your theories wrong. Because like that is like it's more like you've got a theory where you need to go out there and get someone to try the hardest to prove it wrong, because that's how you do it. You prove it's true by proving that like they can withstand the fire, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like it is also an exciting feeling when it's like, man, like I have this thing and like people keep coming to challenge me, and it never like it like they can't challenge it. Like it keeps like standing up. It is like a good feeling as well. Like it is fun to be challenged on like things you come up with. Like even just at a small scale. Like for me, for instance, like I made a video about like Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan. I am yet to see anything that has like contested like what I put there, which is fun. It doesn't mean it's true, right? But I'm hoping that someone does come up with like an alternative thing where it can be like, because then I can be like, man, that is interesting. And I could make like a follow-up video or something and say, man, I really thought this initially, but now someone said this, and like this actually is in opposition. Like I find that all interesting. It is an interesting perspective how people can be so egocentric, I guess, about stuff like this. Like the great Count Piast and his person before him, I guess. I mean, he's not really like in the end, he's really sad about it and difficult to give it up, but he does give up his knowledge in the end. So it's not like he was rigid. He stuck to it in the end, you know. But yeah. But is he dead, Bacon? Oh my god. Who knows?
Who knows?
I hope not. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bacon.
I think.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I guess what I like is that like I feel like it's quite natural. I could almost say something like, "Oh, it's unrealistic that like someone would turn this fast." But for me, watching it, I think like his initial reaction being that like against it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes a lot of sense, but it also isn't like it takes time to whittle him down but then he like mentions the truth again and again and again and again and again, you know. So yeah, which I quite like and it like whittles him down because he's then like reminded again and again of like why he does what he does, and like what he initially actually thinks. Yeah,
true. He wants the truth, you know.
He wants the truth. All right, Ari. Yes. I need the toilet real bad. I'll be right back.
All right, we'll be back, everyone. And we're back, everyone. Bacon went to the bathroom, and now we're back. But all I have is miscellaneous stuff. Is there anything else you want to talk about, I guess?
Nope. That's
all right.
For me.
So what have I actually got? So I have some production things. We already talked about the opening and ending, which I like. Oh, this was so good, Bacon. When they're in the carriages, the horse carriages with the heretic, sorry. I love the atmosphere. It's so well done. Like it's raining outside. The visuals are so dark, and the way the rain is like hitting, like the way that you can hear the rain from inside the carriage, but it like sounds muted and stuff. I don't know. All of this was so good. And when they're like fighting outside in the mud, and I thought this was so atmospheric and well done. So, you know, good stuff. For an otherwise, like, to be honest, outside of that, there isn't too much like that I think about in the production of the show. Like, there's nothing too stand out to me where it's like, oh, this is like really well done. There's like really good animation here, or really like, even like, I haven't really noticed any big like, what do you call it? Like character animation or whatever, like facial expressions or nothing like that even that stands out too much. Yeah, I don't know. But that damn rain scene,
It's
God,
a
it was cool.
very much does the job adaptation, I feel like,
Yeah.
personally.
I think to me the only thing I like quite a lot is the music. Um, like there are scenes where I'm like, man, that was really good. Like even when I think it was the scene where where Badeni was doing the not experiment, like the demonstration of the relative motion or whatever. And there's like really good music there. There's like a bunch of scenes where it's like, man, what a cool song here. By the great Kensuke Yoshio. We love him. But
Yeah.
true. Yep. All right. Bacon, this stone chest that they like put all the research in, it makes me really nervous. They're like one day that someone's gonna find it and like get rid of it, or like even like maybe it'll just get wet or something. Like somehow the water will get in and like destroy it. I don't know. I get so nervous that this will be like the end of the show or something. It'll be like the chest will get destroyed and all the knowledge will be gone. But the point is that like eventually people will find the truth anyway, and the truth is inevitable. It could. I could imagine the show ending like that. But my God, I'm so nervous every time I see this chest. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit like, I mean, it's pretty obscure how they found it, to be fair, but yeah, it is one of those things where you're like, oh, yikes.
Yep.
Could be an issue.
Bacon, who is, or is this someone I meant to know? Potoki.
That is his dad, Raphael's dad.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, 10% to him. That makes perfect sense. Okay.
Because, and I can't figure out, I'm a bit confused if Raphael wants that, or if actually it is Hubert that
yeah,
wants that.
They both knew him.
Yeah, so I can't.
If I were to guess, I figure it'd be Hubert. I feel like he would do it.
Yeah,
but I could imagine Raphael doing it. I don't know. Man, I can't believe I didn't remember that. That's so good. I love that detail. My only other miscellaneous note, Bacon, is my goodness. The bulletin boards for like having problems, what a cool idea. Like you can just like post the problem and then someone will like come look at it and like try and solve it. Like I love that. It's like a concept. Like in these days it's like
yeah.
well, it's been replaced, I guess. But yeah. I don't know, it's super cool. I feel like schools probably have like, even for instance, you've seen Good Will Hunting, right?
I've not actually seen it. No.
Interesting. Okay, that has like a little. From memory, I watched this in high school, like a long time ago. But that had like a bulletin board thing, and I don't know. It's like I guess schools might have it, but it's such a cool concept, especially like back in the day. So yeah, but that's all I got, Bacon. Except for like if there's, that's basically it. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so.
How do you enjoy this set of episodes?
Where, like I once again kind of think because I wasn't thinking about writing a video too much. Like I feel like there's a lot I could say if I dug into it, but this is pretty good. So
true.
Yeah,
I like this set of episodes more than the last. I'm the most eager to continue watching.
Wow, strong.
Well, yeah. What can I say? We got two great characters here that I just love so much in Jolenta and Badeni. So I'm sold, and I'm invested in the plot. I want them. Now they have access to all this knowledge. Like, what are they going to do with it? Like, not knowledge, I guess, but like these records or whatever. I don't know. Like, is this a show that's going to end in tragedy? Is it a show that's going to end with like significant actual progress? Like, I cannot know. And also, I don't even know if like we're going to do a switch up again. Like, maybe these characters will die, and then we'll have like a new protagonist once again, like after this arc. I just don't know. But I'm very curious. So I'm very excited for our next discussion too. I'll continue watching Bacon. Okay, I'm not dropping the show, all right?
Yeah.
And
while I was in the toilet, I checked which episode we should watch.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we should
watch till episode 15, which makes sense because
I don't know why
6 and 6 episodes. So yeah.
Oh, okay, genius. True. Okay, so thank you everyone for listening. We will make sure if you're watching along with us, watch up until episode 15. Is that including episode 15, Bacon?
Yes, please.
Wonderful. Oh yeah, thank you everyone for all the comments, by the way. We read all the comments. They were wonderful. Very...
some really nice long ones as well, which I did respond to.
Yep, indeed. I would never reply to a comment. Oh my god. That's for Bacon to do. But yeah, thank you everyone. So leave another comment if you want. Go subscribe to Bacon if you have no idea who this guy is, and this is your first time hearing him for some reason, and you're a big fan of my channel. Go subscribe to Jarky Bacon.
I made a video about Orb.
He did. Go watch that one. It's very quick. It's like 5 minutes or something. You can quickly go watch that right now and then come back. Yeah.
Crazy.
But yep, that's it. See you later, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks, roughly.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks.